All right, example 4. So remember, functions only work if they have one unique output for every input. That means no input, nothing that you put into the function, should give two different outputs. So you shouldn't be able to put, say, a 5 into the function and get a 7 and a 2 out, right? Think about functions again as that computer. You are inputting something into the computer and the computer is spitting out, printing out just one thing, okay? If it prints out two different things, two different pages, then that means it is not a function, okay? It might be an equation, but not a function. So let's look at this. Decide whether each table is a function or not. So let's look at the first one here. We have our inputs, okay? Input of 1 gives us line, okay? Input of 2 gives us the word angle. Input of 3 gives us the word triangle. And input 4 gives us the word rectangle, all right? We don't know what this function is. I can kind of figure that, like, okay, one line is just a line, 2 lines make an angle, 3 lines put together could be a triangle, and 4 lines put together could be a rectangle, okay? So it looks like the number of input turns into a shape, all right? But it doesn't matter what the function is. We just have to decide whether it's a function or not. So is this a function or not? Well, each of these inputs only gets one individual output, right? If I get an input of 1, I only get line. I don't have any other possibilities for an output. If I input a 2, I only have angle. So yes, this is a function because it only has one unique output for every input. All right, let's take a look at the second one here. So function or not a function, we have inputs, and the inputs are percentages. The outputs look like colors, and all the outputs are the same. Is that a function? Well, if I input 30%, do I get more than just one output? I get red. Is there any other 30% where I get some other output? No. How about 35%? Do I get a different output than red anywhere else in the table? No. How about 40%? Do I get a different output than red in the rest of the table? No. So what are we noticing? We're noticing that as long as each input has only one type of output, meaning each one that's on the left-hand side of the column only has one option on the right-hand column, then we're good. It's a function. So this is also a function. But Mr. Hartrick, all the outputs are the same. That's okay, all right? Doesn't matter what the outputs are. They could all be the same output as long as each of the inputs, each of the things, each of the x values that is plugged into this function gives only one output. So if I had something in this table that said 30% gives me yellow, then it wouldn't be a function, right? Because 30% is supposed to give me a red no matter what. If I put 30% into this computer, I'm supposed to get print out a red, not a yellow. So if 30% also gave me a yellow, that's 2 printouts, right? That's a yellow and a red. 2 printouts, not gonna happen, not a function, all right? So in this case, it only gives me 1 printout red for each one, so I'm good. That's a function. How about this next one? Okay, input of 5, output of 300, fine. Input of 10, output 400, fine. Input of 5, output of 500. Uh-oh, what are we noticing? The input here told me if I put in a 5 into this function, I get a 300. But now I put a 5 in again, and I got something different, right? I got a 500 instead of a 300. So immediately that tells me, no, it's not a function because the input of 5 has 2 different outputs. If I put a 5 into the computer, boom, 2 papers split out, a 300 and a 500. That's not appropriate. I can only get 1 printout. Okay, so not a function. Last one here, okay, inputting apple, I get vegetable. Input orange, get fruit. Input apple, get fruit. Uh-oh. Again, this one started off saying that apple was a vegetable, right? And then it came around and said apple was a fruit. Now, is apple a fruit or a vegetable? I don't even remember. But what I do know is it can't be both. So functions can only have one output. So I can't input an apple and get vegetable and fruit. It has to be one of them, okay? It can't be 2. So this is not a function, all right? We'll get more into depth with this in the next lesson. We'll talk about more things about functions. So see you in the next lesson.